Well, humorously, and I compliment Elaine and obviously Steve Wynn, who would have put dolphins in a casino? Or white tigers? Or you look at the entertainment, and obviously look at this amazing entrance. Remember, this was created in 1985, 86. That was when the design process started. That is something that we've all been trying to figure out on a global basis. I was fortunate enough to work for the legendary Salt Persian, and we always talked about, there's many different resorts that we did in South Africa and Atlantis and Beacon Sun and all over the world, you know, what was done here in Las Vegas. And not just here at Wynn, Mirage, but how does it take it to the next level? This is the starting line. And the good news is that there will be certain things about this building that we will see. The number one question I get about this particular facility is what's happening with the atrium and what's happening with the villas. Well, we're not going to tell you what's happening with the atrium, but we will tell you that the villas are staying. We know that is part of the legacy of this amazing building. We certainly will, you know, update the interiors and do all those things. But if we think about the iconic individuals, both celebrity and non, in business, politicians, influencers that have stayed in the legendary villas, we felt it was something that is very important to keep for the heritage of this destination. As I start to wind down my remarks, I look at something that's very, very important. When you close a building, it's something that is so, so sentimental. Last night, I got in, I don't know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I was walking through the casino. I'm one of those individuals that don't need a bunch of red carpet. I don't need 30 people following me. I love to experience what's happening in the buildings. I started at the bottom in 1979. To me, that's something that's very important. But what I witnessed was very interesting. I caught out of the corner of my eye our principals from Clyde Juba, some of our development people, at one of the bars. Now, anyone that has ever opened a casino resort or a freestanding hotel knows that you spend years designing, constructing one of these buildings. And opening night, the development team is always very intoxicated at the bar, and we, the operators, are obviously now dealing with the guest. And I kind of joked, I said, you know, this is normally on opening night. What are you guys and gals doing? And I was, John Wall and Brian Fink from Clyde Juba said, we had to be here. We had to be here the last night the legendary Mirage closes. And Raj Dajani, who heads up our development here, we built Atlantis and we built Beacon Sun together, you know, obviously under Saul's direction. So that's the legacy of the building. And as we look at the amount of people that have come in, former employees the last couple of weeks just to be here to see it one last time, it's very humbling. As I walked away, I actually became very sad. And I said to myself, God, give me strength. Hopefully we are making the right decision here. Because when you start committing $4 or $5 billion and beyond, you don't want to break apart something that has so much history. Well, what we do know is the future is a bright one in front of us. And we will certainly be back in front of all of you the last quarter of this year or early next year to give the proper explanation as to what's going to happen with this 78.6% acres and where the future will be as we open sometime in mid to the end of 2027. In closing, number one, I want to thank MGM Resorts and specifically Bill Hornbuckle. I believe Bill is traveling today. Obviously a very complicated transaction to purchase something like this. And equally thank John Payne and all the team from Vici. I believe John and some of his team members are here. We looked at a lot of casinos in Las Vegas since 2006. No disrespect to the previous owner of the brand, but I can assure you it was not our goal to stay in that location or that building. We never had any involvement in Hard Rock that was over on Paradise. We certainly wish the new owners of that building nothing but success, but we were always thinking very large and very big. And certainly John and Bill and MGM and Vici helped us complete this transaction. That's something that's very important. We also want to thank the city of Las Vegas and Clark County and all of the staff and approvals and frankly variances, that we have worked through in order to literally start construction tomorrow. We have been certainly working out back now for about 5 or 6 months, but this will be, and we're on a roughly 3-year projection to finish. So it's something that we are very, very thankful for their cooperation. For a little bit of humor, I asked for a variance to build the building at 1,000 feet. They told me I was crazy, so we're going to be around the 700-foot level for the new guitar-shaped hotel, which we will present in the future. Last but not least, actually two. Number one, I want to thank Elaine Wynn, and obviously, Steve Wynn for creating this building, but more importantly for Elaine coming today. It's a very humbling story. And it was an honor to just hear some of the old stories about this amazing building. My last comment is Mr. Joe Lupo. So Joe is a Las Vegas guy. He's in books. And I recruited Joe when he was doing an amazing job at the Borgata. And Larry Mullen, who a lot of people in the industry know, said he wanted to hire a certain person. And I said, you got to get Joe Lupo also. And Joe is a Las Vegas guy. So Joe moved to Tampa. And Joe became the property president. The Hard Rock in Tampa, very humbly, is one of the most successful casinos in the world. It's just legendary with its business volumes and EBITDA. And I said to Joe, I have a little bit of a problem in Atlantic City. And Joe said, yeah. He had been in South Jersey, actually with Bob Bogner, to open, to be part of that team to create the amazing Borgata. And I said, hey, would you move back? And he said, no. I said, okay. So then I asked him a second time, and he said, no. So then I figured I'm in a bidding war, so I said to Joe, Joe, we sat down, and I said, I'm going to say a number, and you're going to say no. But eventually we're going to get to a number you're going to say yes to go back to Atlantic City. But I said, I'll promise you something. Because I had talked to Joe about potentially other positions in Hard Rock globally. He said, Jim, all I want to do is get back to Las Vegas. I don't know if you recall the conversation. I said, I promise you, Joe, that I'm going to buy something in Las Vegas, and I'll get you back. The first call I made, when John Payne and Bill Horbuckle and I said, we got a deal, before it was papered, before anyone in the media knew, I called up Joe, and I said, Joe, told you I'd get you out of there, and Joe has obviously been our property president here since the building. He was so humble about family, being more involved in life and community, and not just what we all amazing 80 hours a week, and he's done truly an outstanding job. It is so difficult for employees when the future is unknown, but I cannot thank you and the senior team enough, and it's truly an honor to have worked with you in the past and look forward to an amazing destination in the future. Joe, please give him a round of applause. So that part of my presentation was fairly easy because it comes from the heart. Now I want to make sure I don't make a mistake as I introduce the legendary Elaine Wynn. Elaine co-founded Mirage Resorts from 1976 to 2000 and also co-founded Wynn Resorts and was the chairman of Wynn Resorts. I think we all know, any of us in the industry, okay, then and today, if we look at what happens in the performance of Wynn Encore down the street, they are second to none. Elaine was inducted into the Gaming Hall of Fame in 1999. She is the trustee of the Elaine Wynn Family Foundation, and her philanthropic efforts are truly amazing. And as I learn more, we share something in common, certainly helping underprivileged youth and children, certainly helping people that were abused is something very, very close to my heart. I can tell you some of my personal stories, but that's for another day. Obviously, she has also been participating in the Kennedy Center of Performing Arts. and a huge collector of art. She is the co-chair of the board of the Los Angeles County Museum. She's the Governor's Philanthropic of the Year in the year 2005. She has an honorary doctorate degree from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and is especially proud of the dedication of the Elaine Elementary School in 1991, and I believe also involved with the NBA, as I understand. So when we looked up the bio and the history, I was like, Joe, if we read the whole thing, we'll be here for 3 hours of the amazing success of Mrs. Wynn. So Elaine, if you'd like to come up and give us some history of the amazing Mirage resort. Thank you, everyone.
Jim, thank you for that wonderful introduction, unnecessarily long. I think I've got a Kleenex here pretending that it's desert dry eye, but I think you all know me too well. I have to confess that I've been to the implosion of many other people's properties, and this is the first time I'm at an adjustment of one of our own. And of course, it's a very poignant moment for me, and I didn't realize the impact of it until I walked in the building again. But listen, this is what we do in Las Vegas. We reinvest, we refresh, and we keep Las Vegas as one of the most exciting cities in the entire world for that. We don't let our buildings get too old. We just let the bosses get too old. Although the Golden Nugget was certainly a wonderful experience, Steve and the rest of us all craved and wanted desperately to join the other guys and gals up here on the Strip in order to do something really spectacular and innovative. And it gave us an opportunity, of course, to let the imagination run wild, and his imagination really did run wild. You know, up until that time, this place was sort of steeped in a desert environment culture. With a few exceptions, we had the sands, the Sahara, the dunes, the desert inn. And Steve always believed in creating what he kind of referred to as dynamic tension. What can we do to make the people go, wow? What can we do to make them think, well, who would ever think of building that place here? Now, of course, the Tropicana did exist, but it was just a bit of a gesture. So the notion that we could create a tropical paradise with all of the attendant functions that have been referred to in the last days and weeks, with magical gardens and exploding volcanoes and dolphins in the backyard, which, by the way, he really wanted to put at our home. And I explained to him, Steve, I don't know a thing about dolphins. And if you're so intent on that, let's put him in the Mirage, thinking that I could get him off of that tangent. And thank goodness he did, and we did. And then, of course, there were the amazing creatures of two of our favorite people of all time, Siegfried and Roy, the greatest performers ever to enjoy. Even though there were so many collaborators, wonderful designers and architects that helped us with this building and property, it was really a breakout moment for one of our own. For a local boy from a prominent family, the Perry Thomas family, and that was Roger Thomas, who finally was set free to really expand and explore all of the amazing, beautiful things that he's done throughout this whole city, which eventually took him into being inducted in the Architectural Digest Hall of Fame for the best designers in the world. And I'm so proud that we had that opportunity to work with our brother who put Las Vegas on the map, if we want to really be honest about it. On the opening day ceremony, we all assembled right here under this porte cochere, and we had representatives of all the various employee groups standing with us. And we invited, as that photo op moment, the two first guests to check in. And I'm proud to say this was my idea and my invitation. And as we stood here, up came the driveway, the beautiful cream-colored Rolls-Royce convertible. In the back seat, we think, because I asked Bernie Human, that it was Sitara and Neva who were in the back seat. And these, of course, were two of the magnificent white tigers. And Siegfried and Roy escorted them on their blinged-up leashes into the property to be admitted officially as our first guests. But then something happened that was really quite remarkable. It had never happened to my knowledge before, and I don't think it's ever happened since. The rest of us retired inside the doors and waited as we were about to let the first crush of people come in the building. And I remember I was standing with Roger Thomas and Jamie Radoff, our main designers, off to the side. I think Stephen and Bobby Baldwin were on the other side. And as the doors opened and the first crowd rushed in, they came in, and all of a sudden, they looked at the atrium, and they stopped, and they applauded. They were clapping. I said, we are getting a standing ovation. And it was such a magnificent validation of the work and all of the energy and all of the time and the love that was invested in this property. And what a special moment that was in my life that will remain as one of the most significant things I've ever witnessed. Of course, then they proceeded to come into the building and rush to the machines and made us profitable from day one, which was wonderful. I have nothing but gratitude for the big life that we've had in this community and in the state. Our family has been so lucky to be the beneficiaries of all that's occurred here. But I have to say, as glamorous and fun as being at the front of the house is, for me, the great joy has always been the back of the house, to be on campus, and to be working with the extraordinary people that are here. You know, every day we have thousands of employees show up who, I believe, although we had good standards of service before, we elevated the standard of service to a superlative level with the creation of this property. We have people come here daily, thousands of employees, who just continue to grow in their professionalism, and they develop their skills, and they were courteous and respectful and generous and loving, yes, loving. And I take the most pride, we all take the most pride, in elevating the culture of hospitality service that exists in this city on a scale that exists nowhere else in the world. And I believe that it started here. And thank goodness, so many of the people that came here, although many still remain for years, went on to infuse all the other properties up and down the strip and conveyed the lessons that they learned in leadership here. And that's the one thing that I will always be so grateful for. I am delighted to hear your remarks, Jim, because for me, handling over in a ceremonial way this wonderfully meaningful place that developed this extraordinary legacy to someone who gets that, who understands that our employees and staff keep the lofty promises that management make. If they didn't deliver, all the words we say mean nothing. And that's what Las Vegas is and does. It keeps the promise. Otherwise, we would not have had successful Formula One, successful Sphere opening, successful Allegiant Stadium, and all of the other amazing things that keep happening, much to our delight, as we enter this next period of extraordinary development in Las Vegas. So I'm grateful, Joe, thank you for including me today. To all of our colleagues and friends and neighbors and people whose kids went to school with my kids. This is home for me. Las Vegas means home. Nevada means home. And I thank each and every one that can hear my voice today. And I hope you really appreciate that this is my home. When I first moved here, a colleague at the Frontier Hotel, which is where we had our very humble beginnings, said to me, when you get the desert sand in your shoes, it's hard to kick out. And that was very true. So we hand over to you, sort of spiritually and symbolically, what I think is the most precious real estate, short of the Hoover Dam, in the state of Nevada. And I wish you good luck and nothing but fun and prosperity and taking care of our folks. Thank you.
Well, I'm certainly pleased, Elaine, that you could be here today, and I know everyone here and everyone will be reading the paper tomorrow and seeing the films will be so pleased that you were here as well. It's been a long week, very emotional here. And I've been in meetings this morning and talking to Jim, and we're talking about the future, and then Elaine Wynn walked in. And things got a little emotional. So I appreciate you being here very much. Our next speaker was also named to the 2024 class of the AGA Gaming Hall of Fame just last week. Alan Feldman spent nearly 30 years in the gaming industry with MGM Resorts. Alan's journey at Mirage began in the weeks leading up to opening, serving as spokesperson and served as VP of Public Relations until Mirage was acquired by MGM, where he continued for another 2 decades. Throughout his time with both companies, the Mirage was near and dear to his heart and to his work. Alan serves as chair for both the National Center for Responsible Gaming, as well as the Nevada Advisory Committee on Problem Gambling. He also serves as a member of the Gambling Research Advisory Committee for the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. It's my pleasure to introduce one of the city's highest regarded and respected industry leaders, Mr. Alan Feldman.
Good morning, everyone. It's hard to believe that 34 years ago, a group of dreamers gathered in this very spot to introduce to the world an audacious, stylish center of leisure and entertainment right in the midst of Las Vegas, unencumbered by what had become by then the usual Las Vegas stereotypes. We made a bold prediction that day that if the Mirage were as successful as we believed it would be, it would forever change Las Vegas. We even predicted that others might follow this new path with their own audacious ideas. With only a little bit of time, found out that we were right on both counts. As you've heard, the Mirage ushered in an entirely different business model, one that integrated all of the aspects of a resort hotel in one common strategic vision. We believed that it would create a dynamic whereby the revenues generated from each of the sectors, gambling and non-gambling, would be stronger and more balanced. There were many naysayers who didn't believe in that vision and didn't believe the investment would pay off. They were very vocal. I'm not going to name names. Forbes magazine. I'll leave it there. But as we stand here today, more than 3 decades later, on a Las Vegas Strip that is wildly different than it was in 1989, there are no doubts about the impact this resort has had, not only on Las Vegas, but on the gaming industry around the world. It's important to note, though, as you've heard, none of us ever believed that the success of the Mirage was about the volcano or the white tigers, the dolphins cruising for the oil, even though they each had a lot to do with it. The secret sauce underpinning the Mirage's success was always its people. 3,000 dedicated men and women who came here every day with the the singular mission of creating memories for our guests. We all recognize that the building was built in order. It was the incredible team delivering on the experience that brought the vision of the Mirage to life, beginning on November 22nd, 1989, every day since. We cannot thank them enough for their many years of devoted service, none more than 137 day one employees that are here with us. So many people call the Mirage their work home over the years. Tens of thousands of people comprising the Mirage family are now creating indelible memories for guests in every hotel around this city and in many, many others. Their managing departments, small and large, have retired and gone on to other things, academia in my case. But of course, so many thousands continue to welcome guests to Las Vegas from the world over. They may be the most significant legacy of the Mirage. And there are, of course, so many other ways in which the Mirage changed our community. Under the extraordinary leadership of Elaine Wynn, the Mirage set new standards in corporate philanthropy, employee volunteerism, and community engagement long before the concept or the phrase corporate social responsibility had even been created. Fortunately, this too has been replicated by others, and that has helped Las Vegas to grow and thrive. In 1989, more than 20 years after its founding, UNLV's Hotel College was doing its best to elbow its way in front of Cornell University. Now, the Harrah College of Hospitality is the unrivaled envy of the entire hospitality industry around the world. Just look around to see the lab that has been built for UNLV students. My own place of work, the International Gaming Institute, was established in 1993 in large part to try to better understand the unbelievable growth that the industry was experiencing and to crystallize its principles to be taught to other gaming industry professionals around the world, and what lessons we can share. Las Vegas is a city which benefits from change like no other destination in the world. The dunes gave way to Bellagio, the boardwalk to City Center, the Sands became the Venetian, the Hacienda is now Mandalay Bay, Desert Inn is now Wynn and Encore, the Marina Hotel is the MGM Grand, and on and on. The extraordinary momentum of our growth and prosperity relies on our willingness to change and our belief in the many creative minds that have propelled this city forward in unimaginable fashion over recent decades. All of us who have connections to the Mirage through the years have so much to be proud of. Its impact and its legacy will last forever. And while I know today is tinged with some sadness and bittersweet feelings, it is the many extraordinary moments and experiences that we've all had that we get to keep for the rest of our lives. And let's not forget that we have a lot to look forward to. As the page turns on the Mirage's historic story and the bold and innovative and creative Hard Rock International and Seminole Gaming teams get to work defining the future, we can all look forward to a new era for this city that we love, one that will carry on the Mirage's legacy for spectacle and excitement. As someone with deep ties to the Mirage, on behalf of all of us, Jim, Joe, we wish you nothing but great prosperity and joy in the chapter ahead. I can't wait to be here on opening day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. Alan doesn't know this, but I opened a big property back east, and with all the media from New York and Philadelphia, It was a joint venture with MGM and Boyd. However, I was told so specifically, implicitly, do not say a word to the media, do not talk, do not blink, do not do anything without direction from Alan Feldman. That was 25 years ago. Introducing our fourth member of the AGA Hall of Fame. Prior to joining Caesars Entertainment, Jan Jones Blackhurst served a two-term mayor of Las Vegas from 1991 to 1999. Her tenure as mayor corresponded with a very prominent decade of expansion and growth here in Las Vegas, as well as when this property grew to be the property to visit in Las Vegas. Ms. Jones Blackhurst has served on the Caesars Entertainment Board since July 2020, holding many other executive-level positions in the company. She currently serves as chairwoman of the Public Education Foundation and chief executive in residence of UNLV International Gaming Institute, while on the board of the directors of Esports Entertainment. It's been truly a pleasure since I've returned to get to know Jan. We've had some conversations in your stories, and it's just been wonderful to meet you and get to know one of our city's most respected leaders. Introducing Ms. Jan Jones Blackhurst.
The Mirage changed everything. In 1989, Las Vegas was Fremont Street on the north, Tropicana on the south, Decatur on the west, and Eastern on the east. UNLV was one building on Maryland Parkway. And then the Mirage opened, and the world changed. Because all of a sudden, Las Vegas saw what it could be. Before then, it's almost like we were blind. We had our little area on the Las Vegas Strip. We didn't realize how grown up, how magnificent, how visionary we could be. And Steve and Elaine, they changed all of that. All of a sudden, the doors opened, and everybody walked in, and we realized who Las Vegas could be. I remember opening night. I have the dress I wore to the opening of the Mirage. I almost brought it. Because every time I go to give it away, I think, I can't give that dress away. I wore it to the opening of the Mirage. Red velvet and satin. I remember seeing Siegfried and Roy and then going to their house after the show where Roy was swimming in the pool with the tigers. All of that was real. That's who they were. Magic. Steve referred to the Mirage as a lady. And it's interesting, in 1990, when I decided to run for mayor, and everybody said, oh, be a good girl and go sit down. Nobody's going to elect a woman mayor in Las Vegas. I came to the Mirage and talked to Bobby Baldwin. And I said, Bobby, I think you should support me. And you know what? He did. And then he called Steve and Elaine. And being the gamblers that they were, when everybody said, don't be ridiculous, you can never win, they placed the bet. And they helped elect the first woman mayor after they built the first magnificent female building. The next decade, Las Vegas learned who they were. Elaine mentioned every month we were blowing up another building and building something bigger and more magnificent. Everybody was running to outdo each other, except for Caesars. We've stayed pretty constant. We're working on it. But Las Vegas has become the envy of the entire hospitality world. Mirage taught us anything we could envision, we could become. Everybody said, and I remember they were taking bets against the Mirage. And I think it paid down all its bonds in the first, 18 months? Same thing, they said we'd never have a sports team. We've got several. Everything they say we can't do, we do in spades. And that's the magnificence of this city. It's the magnificence of this building. And the one thing that makes me really proud is Mirage ushered in a new era of Las Vegas with its fabulous employees, its hospitality. All of you who have worked here, given your heart, high five on you. But I think it's really appropriate that we're now ushering in a new era where indigenous nations are our partners, who are joining us on the Las Vegas Strip. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to teach us about how to become even grander and greater and more hospitable. So thank you, Jim. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Elaine, for everything you've done to make Las Vegas beautiful and compassionate and heartfelt. And thank you, Alan, for always teaching me how to only tell the press what I want them to hear. Thank you.
What an array of speakers, huh? How about if we give everyone a round of applause? I'd like to ask Jim Allen with a final couple of closing comments.
Thank you, Joe. Well, certainly before it gets to 115 degrees, we certainly want to wrap this up. One of the two things I want to mention, number one, it came up in all the speeches about Bobby Baldwin. And, I got the honor to meet Bobby, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago. I always heard his name, but certainly his legacy in this building is something that everyone has referenced. And it's a pleasure. I work with Bobby now on a project we have in New York. When you think about, the Mirage was roughly a little under $700 million. We're publicly stating we're going to spend over $8 billion with obviously our partner Steve Cohen. So it's the industry really has grown through the years. So certainly we thought Bobby was coming. We're not sure if he was able to make it, but certainly Bobby's legacy is something that's really part of not just Mirage Resorts but also MGM, and hopefully Hard Rock New York if we are selected. In closing, on behalf of the chairman of the Seminole Tribe of Florida, Marcellus Osceola, and all of our tribal members, over 4,400, this is a humbling experience. And please do not think that the tribes not attending is in any way disrespectful. They are more about the excitement of when we open. And we certainly recognize, and we wanted this to be about the Mirage, and more importantly, about the 3,000 people. So we certainly look forward to the future with the full Tribal Council presenting the new Hard Rock in Las Vegas sometime the latter part of this year. Thank you very much for attending.
Looking forward, I'm extremely grateful and hold the responsibility, more important, to assist as we carry on this tradition of our exquisite resorts to help launch Hard Rock Las Vegas in the future. I want to thank the Seminole Tribe of Florida and Jim Allen for believing in Las Vegas, believing in this project, and me. As Jim said, for me to come back here with my family and operate this facility has been something I just couldn't have dreamed of. I've been asked to do a lot of tough things in my career. I seem to always get that task. Here's the tough job, here's the tough task, and you get beat up a little bit, but I've realized it's also uplifting and rewarding. About 60 days ago, I walked through the back of house after we announced the closure, and I really felt like I was the ultimate bad guy. However, only as the human spirit can touch someone, it's the employees, the 137 day one employees, and so many that provided such thoughtful, caring comments to myself, and good luck, and wish to come back to Hard Rock in the future, and I can't thank you enough. I'd like to thank our management team for an excruciating task. They've been shown genuine compassion in this effort. As many of you know, I'm a big sports fan, and Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Muhammad Ali, they're the GOATs, just like the Mirage. They always made everything, their teammates, better. And I think you could really say the Mirage certainly made an entire gaming and resort industry better. There's also that time when those greats hang up their uniform and let the new generation aspire. Sir Isaac Newton once was quoted as saying, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." And the Mirage is that giant that is allowing Hard Rock to create a new iconic property. And we are eternally grateful for the opportunity. With that, that ends our ceremony. But what would the Mirage be without one last volcano eruption? So I would like to, again, thank everyone for coming. It's an extremely important and emotional day for everyone. We are going to start a couple volcano eruptions in case anyone would like to walk around the property. You have about an hour to take some pictures inside. We'll be closing the property at 11 a.m. But thank you all for coming. Thank you, Elaine, Alan, Jim, Jan, Poonam, and everyone else.
When I met you in the summer, to my heartbeat sound,